Liza Lawrence here with episode number 34, 143, A Wink from Heaven. Welcome to Wonders and Miracles podcast, where we celebrate miraculous moments in everyday lives. I'm your host, Liza Lawrence, a wife, mother, teacher, and miracle lover. If you're new to this podcast, this is what we do here. Each week on Miracle Monday, we celebrate awe-inspiring true stories from regular people like you and me. People who have experienced something surprising and wonderful that could be considered the work of a divine source. My desire is to help us recognize God's hand and His love in our lives, because the more miracles we notice, the more miracles happen. Thanks for listening to the show. Now let's celebrate wonders and miracles together. Ezra Taft Benson said, "Men and women who turn their lives over to God will discover that He can make a lot more out of their lives than they can." Today, we get to hear how Rebecca's personal heavenly wink, the number 143, helped her and her husband get the long-awaited desire of their hearts. She also shares wisdom of how her life experiences have helped her weather the trials of life. I'm really excited to share this miracle story with you. But first, a shout out to the review of the week. This is from Nika Joe. They said, "Love this podcast. With so many bad things happening in this world right now, it is so refreshing to see all the positive things that are still happening today. Thank you, Liza, for making the world a better place by bringing these stories to everyone." Nika Joe, you are so welcome. It's my pleasure and truly my honor to be a part of sharing these miracle stories. So thanks for appreciating them, and thanks for that review. If you'd like to support the podcast, jump onto iTunes and write a rating and a review, and that would be amazing. So helpful. Also, another great way to share is send it to your friends and family. Tell one person you know this week. Just spread the word that miracles are still happening. We're going to just go ahead and jump right into Rebecca's story. I think you're going to love it. Okay, well, I am here with Rebecca today from Indiana, and she's going to share with us a miracle journey of infertility and angel numbers and how you finally got your baby. So I'm really excited to hear the details of this story, and thanks for being willing to share it on the show. Let's hear what happened.
Thanks so much, Liza. To start at the beginning, when I was 14 years old, I lost my dad in a car accident. I was actually with him, and it was such a tender and beautiful and such a terrible time. It's hard to explain, but we experienced that great loss as our family. But it's been really, really special. And for us and our family, especially for me, after that experience, having been with my dad in the car, I feel like these little angel numbers, that's a cute way to put it, is these 143 numbers that have shown up in my life. I feel like they're a wink from heaven. And so to explain the 143, the 1, 4, and 3 means I love you. 1 is I, the 4 meant love, and the 3 is you. And my mom and dad were high school sweethearts. And so everything that my mom and dad ever corresponded back and forth with was 143. So they used to sign all their letters, this 143. And so this 143 has just been really special in our family life. Like it's our own little miracle. And so my dad even stole a sign for her. And when they were in high school that said 143, and it hung in the barn at our property. And I can't even begin to tell all the miracles that our family has personally felt when we've had special occasions, sacred events in our family. This 143 has found a way to touch one of our hearts that we've been able to share with each other. So it's just a really special number in our family. That's kind of the backstory on this 143 number. But where our journey begins, we had been trying to have a child for quite some time. We both come from really large families. And so we always just wanted to have a little one. We want a house full of children. And we struggled for about 8 years trying to work with doctors and try different treatments and all these different things. And nothing seemed to be working. When we relocated to Pennsylvania, After a job change and things, we were encouraged by a family member to reach out to this wonderful doctor in New Jersey. And we felt right away that he was a great doctor and that we could trust him and work with him. And we pursued treatment with him, but it did not work. And so, of course, we were devastated. After 8 years of constant in and out of doctor's office, thousands of dollars of treatment, and just the emotional and just all of that. It's just a lot. And so my husband and I both at that point had said, we give this to you, Lord. Like, we can't do this any longer. Like, we love each other so much. And we had been through so much as a couple, just wanting to have a child and just the struggle that brings to a marriage, and that we just couldn't make it happen. And of course, every doctor we went to, they told us that there was nothing wrong with either of us, which was even harder and more frustrating because it's like, what am I mean, I tried so many diets and eating whole foods and like just all of these things, trying to be like the best person I could be. And it's like, after that failed treatment attempt, we decided, you know what, Heavenly Father, we give it to you. If you want us to have a family, like, we can't do this any longer. We will live our lives and we will serve and love and be the kind of people you want us to be, but we can't do it anymore. And so it was just kind of this faith promoting experience for me that just, okay, I give it to you. I need you to carry this for me. Shortly thereafter, one of the nurses, they were our family. When you meet and you love on these people and they love on you back, you just really connect with them. And so she called us and knew that our treatment had failed. And she said, I want you to go and attend this free seminar that they're holding. They're doing a raffle and they're giving away a free IVF. We knew it can be upwards of $25,000 for an IVF cycle with medication and just everything that goes into all of that.
And had you tried IVF yet?
We had not.
Okay.
So that was one road we hadn't gone down yet, just because of cost.
Right.
It was just so expensive. And we thought, this has to happen. I mean, we have 36 nieces and nephews, you would think,
Yeah.
We come from large families and we just didn't understand why. So we said, okay, we'll go to the seminar. Of course, just so much emotion. I'm still coming off of hormones from just having completed a treatment cycle. And so we go this night and I still have the little coupon. They gave us all little coupons. And
what did this coupon represent?
So
was it like your raffle ticket?
It was my raffle ticket. Yep. It was the other end of the ticket. And the numbers that were on that ticket were 143.
That's awesome.
And of course, I'm like so emotional at this point. And so my husband turned to me and he said, we're going to win. And I'm like, no, we're not. I said, I am the most unlucky person. I do not win anything ever. He was like, no, we're going to win. Your dad's on our side. He's rooting for us. It still makes my whole body just tremble from head to toe thinking of the miraculous experience that we had that night. And they called our number and we won. It was amazing. It was just so beautiful. Of course, we called our parents both right away and shared this miraculous story with them because they were just so supportive and loved us the whole way as we had been through this journey and just shared so much of the heartache with us, wishing they could take it away for us. So we won this ticket, and the only stipulation was that we had to use it within 6 months. We decided we would try the IVF process. And mind you, during this process, it was just so hard. The shots, everything was just so involved. But I was so positive through the whole thing. And my husband commented so many times, he's like, you're so peaceful about all of this. And I said, that's just because I know the Lord is orchestrating this miracle in our life. And of course, we transferred 2 embryos and only 1 took. But we were just elated. And so the whole process, I was so sick when I was pregnant. Like, I was so sick. But every time I got sick, it was like, this is the best thing ever.
Yeah, I'm pregnant.
It's the best. And I'm so grateful for the experience because the Lord knows my heart. And he knew that I needed this experience so that I could truly appreciate the wonder of everything I was experiencing. I just didn't take any moment for granted. Everything was just so treasured. And I feel like had I not had that experience, I would not have been quite so grateful. I wouldn't have been so positive about all the hard things. Even after having my little boy, I had severe back pain. I had a bulging disc. I couldn't walk for a long time and just all of these really hard things. But it was so great because I had this little person in my life, and he was born the following April, and he just has been the absolute light and joy of our life. He is truly our miracle little baby. And we have not been fortunate enough to be able to have another one. We have pursued IVF twice since he's been born, and same results.
Wow.
But no pregnancy. It's just been really interesting. So we just keep having faith and moving forward and hoping for the best as far as the future goes. So that's kind of our miracle story.
I love that. How neat that your father was very involved, that 143. It makes me wonder, since you've had in vitro again and it didn't take, it's interesting that this one time, this baby where your father was involved, and obviously the Lord, that it was so meant to be at that time.
Yeah.
Wow.
I so agree. Well, and so much of it, what led up to that point, I mean, I really feel like, I don't know how other people feel, but I feel like I have these pivotal moments of faith in my life. And I know it's my constant and my number one weakness of giving my will to him, trying to align what he wants for me and what I want.
Yes.
Being aligned. And it's hard to do. It requires such great faith.
Yes.
And I know that moment, I will never forget, just an earnest prayer, just, I give it to you. Like, I can't carry this anymore. I know that this is such a desire of my heart. I mean, I've been playing with baby dolls since I could talk. And I mean, I love to mother. I've had the great opportunity of loving so many kids in my life, but I feel like it was at this point where the Lord knew, and I feel like my dad was there just cheering me on, like, you can do this. And he was just such an eternal optimist that I've had even more miracle stories just with, after trying this IVF again, just where this 143, this wink, I call it, from heaven, of just where, like, I'll look down. It's like, hi, Dad, I hear you. I see you. Thank you. Is something coming? Please tell me, just this, it's okay. It's all going to work out. And I had so many incredible experiences leading up to my IVF. Just, I call them little breadcrumbs of the heart, where the Lord was just kind of
leading you along.
Yeah, leading me along, telling me it will happen someday. Have faith, have hope, but it's not yet. And I have felt that same way with desiring so much to have a second child. Just, there is a little person out there, but I don't know timing. And just these little breadcrumbs of when I've had moments. And I feel that my dad's leading me along as well, because he was just all about family. And I feel like I missed out on so much of my life with him because I was so young when he died.
Yeah.
When you're 14, you're just starting to get to know your parents,
Yes.
You think of them as not your parents. They're more of a friend. They've lived life. They've actually had experiences,
Right. They're real people, not just
they're real
authorities.
people. Yeah. And, my mom and dad met when my mom was 15 and he was a senior. And so it's like, oh my goodness, she was so in love with him 1 year later than I was. And just all of that. And it's just been such a journey for me. And I'm grateful for those little winks from heaven that just remind me of who I am and my purpose, and just keep that perspective of everything you're experiencing now is just such a small moment. And I couldn't have even imagined my life with my son. And now I can't even imagine my life without him. Sometimes I wish you could see the end, but then it wouldn't be any fun.
I know. I know.
It wouldn't be any fun. That's just not how life is meant to be.
Right. I'm reading a fascinating book right now that you probably would enjoy. It's called The Surrender Experiment by Michael Singer. And he talks about kind of that principle of just surrendering your life to God. And he got really into meditation and decided to say yes to every opportunity that showed up for him, and then to put himself into it wholeheartedly. But he noticed that his preferences would fight back. Like his mind would say, oh, you don't want to do that. That just doesn't sound great. Or, he'd argue with his own belief system. And he said, especially when I would argue a lot with myself, in the sense that I was going to lose control of my life or the vision I had created, he would say yes to that more emphatically. It's a fascinating journey, and his life was totally different than he had envisioned, and how the Lord just put all these different opportunities in his path
I love that. Well, and I think you have it right there. That's kind of what I feel like I've summed my life up to be. The less I try and control and the more I
Yeah.
give to the Lord, the
Yeah.
happier I am, because I realize I make choices and I make decisions, but it's constantly letting go of that
Yes.
that is really what it's all about. And I know that it's something that's part of my journey, because even my birthday wish this year, my husband asked, he said, "What did you wish for this year?" And I said, "I wish that I can just put my complete trust in the Lord, and whatever comes, I will love it." And it has
Yes.
been already such a
Oh,
trying year. My husband has been without work for a month, and you just had trial after trial after trial. And I just keep telling him, I told the Lord, I am willing to bring whatever. That's never a good thing to say to him,
right.
but it's really what it's all about. And understanding that the journey is so much better than I could have ever even imagined it. And knowing that it didn't go according to, quote, my plan, the
Uh-huh.
plan that I had for my life.
Right.
And my mom is very wise, and she constantly brings me back to reality. And she's always reminding me that the tapestry of life, the quilt of life, I only ever view one square. And
Mm.
so she always reminds me that all these different squares are interconnected, and you just
Mhm.
only see this part. And,
Yeah.
my little boy Connor, she's like, he was supposed to come at the time that
Yeah.
he was supposed to come, not yours,
Yeah.
his.
Mhm.
And that's hard as a human to
Mhm. Yes.
wait and be patient. And I know that I was not supposed to be a mom before I was, because I learned so much about being a mom. And I'm grateful that I had to wait, because like I said, every moment has just been,
Yeah.
it's just so much easier to be kind. It's so much easier to not get upset, because it's like, this is just such a short time, and laugh it off instead of being upset about it. Or it's
Mhm.
given me such great perspective. I will always be grateful for that as part of my miracle story.
Yeah. And I think it's healthy to see it that way, that I'm just so grateful now. As you're talking, it reminds me of C.S. Lewis when he says, "You set out to build this cute little cottage, but the Lord, he comes to work in you and he's knocking down walls, but he has a mansion to build. He's interested in way more than you can envision." And one of my favorite quotes, and I heard this when I was probably a teenager, probably about 14, when you turn your life over to God, you will find that he will make more out of your life than you can.
I love that one.
I did too.
I
And I
remember.
have just carried that through my entire life. And I feel like my whole life has been a series, like you said, of just submitting my will to God. Like, I wouldn't choose this, Lord, but
Yeah,
apparently I need it. And it's going to help me grow and help me become who I really want to become, even though I don't know who I want to become in the end, but the Lord does.
absolutely.
And our spirit does. I really think our spirit has that vision, and it's our human self, that natural man self, that gets in the way. And so
I so agree.
when we can put that off and let that go, we grow so much, even though life can be hard and challenging, which sounds like you're in that phase, but it's a necessary phase to jumpstart you to the next phase in life.
Absolutely. And it's been so interesting, because I mean, even since that moment when I was 14 and my dad passed away, I mean, I was with him. There's really no reason I should have lived the way that
Interesting.
he died. And
Mm.
it was a car accident. We were actually driving home from the hospital where my first nephew had been born. He fell asleep behind the wheel.
Oh,
And my mom and my younger sister were following behind us. And
oh, wow.
their experience was far more horrific than mine ever was.
Mm.
Just recently, within the last few years, my sister has finally shared her side of the
Oh,
story, because it's
they
tender,
witnessed it all. Hmm.
her witness and what her experience was. And ever since that moment, I have always had just this great purpose, that it's like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm here for a reason. And it's something I'm always just submitting my will. And you're right, like what C.S. Lewis said, he has so much more planned for me than I ever could have imagined. And even the years that I didn't have Connor, I was determined that I would be the best Aunt Becca I could
Uh,
possibly be, and
mm-hmm.
just have dance parties and love my nephews and nieces, and just be the best and love them. Because I truly believe, through my whole infertility, my journey, that being a mother is so much more than having your own child. It's the way that you love other children and mother them. And I mean, I can tell you so many little children that I have just loved over the years. I don't know if I've been that positive impact for them as much as they have been for me.
I'm
But
sure you have.
my
Go
husband
ahead.
always reminds me, opposition in all things,
I know.
all things.
I
We just
know.
were reading today in Matthew chapter 13 about the opposition
Mhm.
that in order to grow, there has to be, and how beautiful that we have the opportunity to know and understand that we have a savior that is with us always,
Mhm.
and that invitation to always come unto me. I will help carry this burden for you because I've already paid the price. He always reminds me that every time we have trial. This is great. We are having opposition. And it's like, oh my goodness, I'm over it. And he's just like, we can do this. We got this. We can do anything together. And after 11 and a half years of marriage, it's been a testament to me of just, we can do anything with him by our side, and with my cute husband by my side too. That makes a
Wow.
difference.
Yeah, he sounds
So,
really optimistic. Is he a positive thinker?
it's interesting because I wouldn't label him as a positive thinker. I think that we both have helped each other over the years, but something that I love and admire about him the most is that he is just so kind and patient. But he just always had so much faith. He always said, and even after having Connor, and we've had all of these experiences and trials since then with our infertility journey, he's just been like, Becca, it's going to happen. The Lord, I know he's going to provide another child for our family. And it's like, how do you know that?
Mm.
He's like, because I just do. I know. And so that's what I would label him more of, is just, he has great faith
Hmm.
and he trusts the Lord so much. And I'm constantly leaning on him. Okay, we can do this together. Okay, we got this. I mean, even with just the recent job change, and he's just like, we got this. We can do anything together. It's like, okay, we can do this.
Wow.
Even though I'm just, okay, how are we going to do this and that? And he's like, it's going to be okay. We have to trust him.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
want to see the vision. I think it makes a good team because I think you do need vision. I don't think we should just step into life haphazardly, like, I don't have a plan. So I think it's that balance too that probably sounds like you're a good team together. to,
We try. I know
uh,
recently I was asked, what are your short-term goals? And I just looked at her and I said, I don't really have any.
uh-huh.
I'm just coming what may and loving it because
Yeah.
I've got to quit planning things, because
Yeah.
every time I do, they don't turn out like I plan. So, not that you shouldn't have goals. I think goals are such an important part of life. And each day I try to improve. And because of my collective experiences of life, I
Hmm.
do feel that I have an eternal perspective of things. And for
Yeah.
that, I am grateful, because I know that it's not going to last forever. And
Yeah.
that, cherish these moments. Don't leave a fight angry. Always say you love each other, just because I have seen the frailty of life and that it
Hmm.
can be quickly just like that taken away.
Yeah.
And that I am grateful for. So I love the eternal perspective. I just sometimes struggle with all the little stepping stones along the way to getting to that end goal.
One thing I did a few years ago, there's a book called The Game of Life and How to Play It. It's an old 1920s success book, but very Christian based. We were coming to kind of a crossroads in our life, my husband and I, about 2 years ago. And every conversation was, what's our vision? Like, what are we going to be doing in life? We need to have a new vision because we're stuck, we're stagnant, we're not growing, we're not moving forward into what we need to be moving forward into. So I started creating my vision, right? And this is what I want, and this is what we're going to do. And I read this book, and it reminded me of the principle of you can create the vision of your life, and because of the laws of God and because of the laws of how things work, kind of the higher laws, the universal laws, sometimes people call them that, it will come to pass. But she says, but be careful that you aren't creating something that actually isn't in your divine right path. Because if it's not in your divine right path, then it will throw you off in some way and it will create more struggle than you actually need for your growth. And so what it taught me in that moment was to ask for the Lord to give me the vision to create.
I love that.
So then my prayers changed to, Heavenly Father, what do you want me to envision for my life? What's your vision for me? Show me so I can move forward with your vision. And it's part of that submitting your will to God's will, because we think we know what we want, but it might not be aligned with what we're really here to do, what our path really is for. Anyway, that was really helpful for me. And then everything fell into place extremely quickly. Once I turned it over and quit trying to making my vision happen, but turning it over to God's vision, I was amazed at how quickly things moved forward. And we were able to push into a really joyful path. Anyway, it's kind of interesting.
Thanks for sharing that. That's definitely something I would love to look at.
Well, and that book's interesting. You might not resonate with that book, but the idea of
of it, though.
The alignment of my divine right path. And she says most people, when they actually do pray to get back on their path, they will see huge life changes that sometimes look chaotic at first. Like, oh my gosh, all these bad things are happening. She says it's not true. You're getting back on your path because you've been diverted for a while. And that's exactly what happened. But yeah, you're right there at that crux, it sounds like, with job changes and life changes.
Well, and that's so much in my life. I have felt that, like, every road I've turned down. I mean, I'm one that I definitely bloom where I'm planted. I make lemonade out of any lemon I ever get. I try anyway. But I love and appreciate the alignment part, because that, I think, is what my goal is always striving to be, is aligning. And that's just with this whole journey I've been on, is constantly aligning. What will you have me do? And if it's not for a time, that's okay too. That's taken me a long time to come to, that even if it's not right now, I'll be okay. And I will still find happiness and not wish these days away, waiting for that to happen. And I just love that. It's so true. I feel like that's like my journey in life that I'm constantly trying to perfect.
Well, it sounds like you are really good at it, actually.
You are so kind. I try so hard. I try to stay close to the scriptures and to the Savior, and just to him, always trying to rid my life of things that are distracting. And I mean, I have been given special blessings through our church. So encouraged to keep my life clean and away from distractions, anything. I mean, even discouragement in any way, to stay away, because it's offensive to my spirit, to my soul. And as I have valiantly done that, so much more peace comes. My faith is clearer. I'm able to conquer and be more positive moving forward.
I love that. Thank you for just sharing wisdom and your insights and the way you flow through life and view life. I think it's very powerful. And I think people listening will resonate with that. And truly, your life experience has offered you that perspective with the death of your father, and knowing that you were saved for a reason, and your whole journey through. I love that miracle story of getting your baby. I just love it all.
Thank you.
Been so
Thanks for sharing these stories. I love them. I look forward every Monday morning to your new episode, and I've been sharing them with everybody I know, because they have touched my heart and reminded me there truly are miracles in every single day. We just have to open our eyes, and I mean, everyone's experiencing them in their own ways. It's just recognizing them, expressing gratitude for them, and it's just a beautiful process. I'm so grateful.
I know. I love it too. And it's so fun for me on my end, because I just meet these beautiful people like you, all these beautiful people. So, I love it.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for sharing your story. Well, that's our show for today. Thanks so much, Rebecca, for your beautiful words of wisdom. And I love angel numbers and the special number of 143, and how that has just shown up in your life so many times as your own personal heavenly wink from your Father. Couple reminders. If you'd like to support the podcast, jump on to iTunes and give it a rating and a review. I read those out in an episode each week, and so appreciate that support. Helps other people find us. Also, if you have a miracle story that you would like to share, I'm always looking for more miracle stories. I love the huge variety that we've had on the show and continue to have. So please consider sharing your miracle stories. If you have one, just submit it on my website at wondersandmiracles.com, and I'll contact you to set up a time to pre-record your story. And don't worry, it's super easy. I can edit out any mistake you make, so it's no pressure. You don't have to be able to tell the story perfectly. But I know that these stories lift and edify one another, just as Rebecca shared today at the end of her recording. And like Ezra Taft Benson said, men and women who turn their lives over to God will discover that He can make a lot more out of their lives than they can. I know that's true. I've experienced it in my life at times when I have tried to do it my way versus letting God take over. So much bigger than what I have planned or have envisioned. And I hope you can think of a time that you have surrendered your will to God and allowed Him to take over and make more out of your life than you could. And as always, remember to notice and celebrate the miracles everywhere, because the more miracles we notice, the more miracles happen.